Well, and welcome everybody to the wrap episode number 3. Nathan Guerra here alongside of Anna Russell. This is the show where we talk about all things Zwift and Zwift community for the last week or so. Racing, training, announcement, features in game, and of course, your favorite part of the show, the fashion show. The topics this week are pretty fun. Obviously, one of the main things that we talk about and show a lot on Zwift Community Live is the Zwift Racing League. We are into the 2022-23 season announcements as well as the course. So we'll be going over all that with a special guest, Cy Bradley, an awesome part of the community. Cy is who has been doing a lot of our course recons actually for Zwift Community Live, and definitely an amazing resource to the community as he shows you how to get ready for all of your Zwift Racing League races with your team. Of course, we also have the fashion show and a pretty cool, slick, futuristic looking kit this week. We're not going to have any tech section this week because we're going to be talking about all the courses in ZRL. So it's going to take us a little bit of time, but it'll be good to do so. And then, of course, what have we been up to? Anna, great to have you here. I'm excited. Episode number 3. Looks like the podcast is going pretty well as well. You sent me some numbers the other day.
I know. I get alerts every week when we hit 50 more downloads. So we're heading up above 300 downloads now of the podcast, which is really rad. And it's just the spikes are getting bigger each week. So it's very exciting. I love it. I actually had a listen the other day and was like, this is quite interesting. I'm liking what was going on here. And my kids were astounded that I was coming through the radio of the car. So yeah, no, it's going really well. I've been waiting for this show for a while. I've been updating my WTL website, refreshing it, looking at when it would come up with the routes for next season. So excited to talk about those with Cy Bradley. But Nathan, what have you been up to this week? How was your Wednesday World?
Yeah, I mean, the main focus this week was just getting ready for Wednesday Worlds because the course that we were on is super, super climby in Yorkshire. You know, that's, oh man, that was tough. And it was just 25-ish minutes. But when I got done racing for 25 minutes only yesterday, after all the climbing we did in Yorkshire, I went and laid down and took a nap for about an hour because it felt like I typed into Discord we have a Discord chat actually about it. And I was like, why do I feel like I just got done doing a 3-hour Hammerfest? So it was pretty tough. Really cool that one of the highlights that has been happening almost every week that I hear Eric Schlange from Zwift Insider say is that we don't see fields like this except for in Premier Division, and so that's been really exciting to see that level of racing kind of show up in an individual GC format where we're going after something kind of all together, but it feels really community and really grassroots at the same time. So it's kind of connecting both of those things in a really awesome way. So that's been really good. And besides that, I've just been training. We're getting ready for some in real life racing. And that means with the races coming up, it's been either super crazy high intensity VO2 max intervals like you saw yesterday in Wednesday Worlds, or try and do the best thresholds I possibly can because there's some crazy point to points coming up. So 3 hours at about FTP or so.
I came into your chat when you were, I don't know if you saw that, when you were riding intervals up Epic Climb. I came into your chat and was messaging, but you looked head down and focused. So not sure.
Yeah, we got to figure that out. We have to figure out, that's one of the things that we're trying to figure out actually about streaming individually and to support that and to kind of, I don't know, pioneer ways to make that part of it interesting. Cause I do want to, there is something to sharing training, but there's also just the reality that you're head down suffering. You know what I mean? So so there is that side of it.
You know what I did with it is, I had like a training session. I stream them now as well. I've become a bit of a twitcher, but people would come in and be like, come on, you got this. And I'd just be talking during the set being like, oh man, I don't know. This is so hard. And it actually kind of brought people in. So it was cool. I think that kind of brought them in. But there are some sessions where I'm like, do you know what? I don't actually think I want to stream this today because it will be one of those sessions where I'm just head down and going crazy. But yeah, I don't know if you did it over the weekend. I did the Zwift Insider Tiny series.
That I was gonna set an alarm for it, and the alarm got so close to when I was going to sleep that I decided not to do it. No, I wanna do
Good
it, and
idea.
it looks super popular. How did it go? Because that's one of the
Okay.
most exciting things on the calendar to me as well. Like, that's another
Yeah.
one where I'm like, bullet point this, do this on the
Yeah.
weekly.
Okay, so there are two things I'm excited about. One is that you teased to me before the show, which we'll tease to the viewers a bit later at some point. But that is what I loved about the classics. I've been doing them as well, not as part of Wednesday Worlds, but as part of it's for me, it's a Tuesday night group that are coming together. What I like about it is I love the team aspect of ZRL, but sometimes I just want to go on without the sort of, not the team pressure, but just the, you know what, I'm just going to try some stuff individually and see if this works. And the risk is only to me, it's not to my team, right? I don't want to try and risk something and lose team points. So it is really nice having an individual GC component there. So that part I really like. And, you know, I know that Liz Van Howling is getting involved in your Wednesday Worlds, and I'm kind of going to push her in this direction to kind of spearhead maybe a sort of premier women's side of it, which would be awesome. So if we can kind of get what you're doing, you know, with the men, if she can get an A group woman kind of coming through, that would be wicked to see as well. But the tiny races, awesome. And I was talking with Eric after the race because he was asking for a bit of feedback. And the funny thing was, do you know what made them awesome? Was the camaraderie and the banter between races. So, you know how I've always talked to you about, I would love a coffee shop at the end of a Zwift race, a virtual coffee shop, and you just chat about how hard it is. But everyone kind of finishes and they go off and, you know, log off of Zwift and go about their daily life. But these, because you were with each other in between race 1 and 2, 2 and 3, and 3 and 4, you had about 8 minutes to just sit in the pens with people you'd just raced with, you're going to race with again. And I honestly have not seen so much chat in the pens the whole time. That was the highlight. You kind of finished the race, and then I was like, jumped straight to the next pen to like get the chat going again. So that was kind of the cool part of it, is it created this little community of suffering within this race. So I think that format was, for that part, it got the virtual coffee shop for me.
Yeah, and two things there. First of all, where else do we see something like that in cycling? Is there anywhere else that you have that kind of a shorter? I think the track. I've never raced the track, so
Yeah.
I don't know how. Like, but I would think that there's got that little bit more water cooler after each thing, hang out and chat, and then go do it again and go do it again. And like, I'm wondering if there's anywhere else in cycling that we have that. And then the other
Someone
side that
come
I
and
would say,
chat. Yeah.
yeah, somebody in chat, let us know if you can think of somewhere else in cycling, but that we have something that has that same kind of environment. But then the reality of like people talk more when their heart rates get up. Like
Yeah.
afterwards, your adrenaline's pumping, you feel more free. You kind of, you know what I mean? It's kind of like your healthy alcohol to loosen things up. Like it's like
Yeah,
when
yeah,
you go work out,
exactly.
and then in between, and they're short enough that you're not like, if I did a Kiss 100, after the sprint, I put my head down. I'm like, bye, guys. I'm done with the stream. I
Yeah.
don't want to talk anymore. I just need to go lay down and drink my recovery. But they're so short that it just gets the energy going. And then
Yeah.
talk about what your tactics are going to be for the next one. And, oh, I saw what they did here. They're going to do that again. And it kind of becomes this little mini chess game, too.
Yeah. And you also, because it was 4 races and they were so similar, you got to know, like I knew who the women were that I was racing up against, and I knew what kits they were in and what they looked like. And I was like, oh, they beat me in race 1. Okay, get on her wheel, do this. And then you'd beat them in the next one. It was sort of like you got to know each other so well over a short period of time that it influenced your tactics. Because by the last race, I was like, that person's going to go early. Okay, get on their wheel. And it took me kind of like, I should have sort of read the instructions a bit more. I realized too late that everybody got the same power ups at each banner. So I say in the first one, I got an arrow at the first banner, and I saw all these people dropping arrows. I was like, what are they wasting their arrow power ups for? That's so stupid. They should be saving them for the sprint. And then by race 3, I was like, we're all getting the same power up. So
Well,
you
don't
don't
feel
need to
too
save
bad.
me.
I had to ask Eric to tell me how to bring up the bin ability to bin my power up in game because I didn't have Zwift Companion during Wednesday Worlds yesterday. So, and everybody during Wednesday Worlds yesterday was like, Nathan, are you the noob here? Like, what's going on? Like, you've already asked 2 questions about how to do something, like, and you're on the wrong bike. Oh my gosh! So, even the
Uh,
experienced one's got to figure it out sometimes, I guess.
And I see Miss 14 has come into the chat, Katie Loca. She did the tiny races too, but we weren't together, thank God, because she would have crushed me. My legs were dead. But yeah, that was, she said it was great fun as well. She's talking about the electric spirit races. Is that in real life, Katie? We're kind of thinking, I know people in the chat talked about this is similar to something I do at my local club. And I'm thinking it was on the track. So I don't know the name for it. I'm not really up to play maybe a Madison or an Omnium or something like that. But there is something in real life. But on Zwift, it was awesome. I can't wait to see the next one.
100%. I'm gonna see what we can do. I would jump in this weekend. I was like almost clicking on it, but in real life racing is gonna take over a little bit for the next couple of weeks. But Tiny Racing Series, everybody definitely check it out. Zwift Insider's doing an amazing job as usual with organizing what is pushing the edges of what you can do with racing on Zwift for sure. So are we gonna jump right on into the topic of the
Yeah.
show here? I mean, let's just do it. We've got an awesome guest who is has been an amazing help actually also to everything that we're doing here at Zwift Community Live. Cy Bradley's gonna jump in with us, and he's been doing course recons. I picked up on Cy actually from course recons early on in the Zwift Racing League. He started doing those, and they popped up on my YouTube, and I was like, "Who's this guy? He's got a nice mic. Looks like he knows how to present himself. We need to get this guy involved in what we're doing here. This is amazing." And obviously, Cy, you've been doing a great job with everything ZRL. You want to just introduce yourself just a little bit to the viewers, just real quickly, a little bit of background on, how cycling quick, Zwift, and your race team, and then what made you want to do ZRL stuff and present.
Yeah, I guess. Well, thank you for the invite on the show. It's nice to do something live because obviously all the stuff that we've been doing last season was pre-recorded, which was good for me and you, I think, with the first time with these things. But thank you for the invite. And I have to say, actually, while I'm thinking about it, it is a thank you to you, Nathan, and many members in the community, because those are the guys and yourself who inspire me to do this sort of thing. Not only just get on and ride, but contribute in other ways, as many people do in the community, like yourself and Anna and Kate and the team as well. So, thank you for you guys, because you guys have kept me motivated to do this season on season, and the fact that I just love being on the platform, I guess. But in brief, in short, I'll try and keep the cycling background. I am a road cyclist traditionally. I worked in a bike shop as a kid. The area that I live is synonymous with many international cyclists, and the terrain, because I live just on the edge of the Peak District as well, is pretty hilly, which suits my lighter frame. And then I think it was 2017 when I first got onto the Zwift platform. And I think last week you were on about the Go Power Rangers, and you're like, "Hey, Cy Bradley's been on here a little bit longer than I thought." But what it was, when I first joined, I was so frustrated that I wasn't as good as I thought I should have been. And I think a lot of people experience that when they get on Zwift. So I spent a long time nerding out watching old Twitch streams and every YouTube video, and it was yourself, vegan cyclist. There was another famous British cyclist who rode the national championship, so I used to watch a lot of it at the time as well, just to try and figure out how did I get better at this and how to hang on in the climbs.
We can say the name Cam Jeffers. We can say Cam.
Exactly.
Cam's good.
I watched a lot of Cam when I first started out.
It's not like
So I watched a
Voldemort.
lot of Cam streams. No, exactly. No, I watched a lot of Cam now, back then and still now when he jumps on the platform. So yeah, he was. I guess that's my background. And then I've got a little bit of background in presenting. There's a big bicycle retail over here, which I did a lot of sort of bike reviews and stuff on about 5 years ago. And then I just got the bug for being in front of the camera and the microphone. So we'll see how it goes today live, I guess, because normally it's all pre-recorded. So
doing pretty well already, Cy. No, just kidding. Yeah, absolutely. It's great to have you here. So Anna, you want to take us away, because we've got a lot to go over here. Zwift Racing League courses for season 1, 2022-23.
Yeah, so I guess for everyone listening, the way we're sort of going to structure this, we'll just do a first sort of delve into what the season looks like, but then we're going to go through race by race and just sort of give some opinions, thoughts, bring in live chat, because it's kind of going pretty lit up. You've got a lot of fans out there, Cy. We're going to go through race by race, talking about, bikes a little bit, selections, rider types, etc. But if we start from the beginning, 3 rounds, so a little bit different to prior ones. Also, season finale in March 2023, a little bit earlier. I think they've taken on the feedback that it was getting a little bit too close to in real life racing. But round one, September 13th to October 18th, 2022, and 6 rounds. So, what are your thoughts on the sort of new round formats, shorter race series?
Yeah, for me, I really like what we've done this time, and I think I did share with you guys. I got a little bit of a bitter experience with previous seasons, trying to desperately get to a final at some stage. And I think the way they've structured it this time, if you have one of those hiccups, if you have, maybe not enough numbers one day for the TTT, and you're dropping points there, or someone overpowers and gets DQ'd, if you don't win round one within your division, you've got other opportunities. If you're a strong team and you missed out for those reasons, you've got another opportunity to reach that season finale. So I think.
And we should be good. Our two guests should be right back with us. Apologies about that, everybody. We've had a couple of internet issues here, but go ahead. We'll go ahead and cut that out as well of the podcast with a little bit of editing. Apologies, everybody. Sai, you were talking about how the rounds help a lot with having just 6 races. Go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. I think 6 races also means you're keeping a lot of the riders absolutely focused and in tune for the season. And again, as I say, having those 3 rounds, if you do mess up or you have some of those errors in the round one or round two, you've still got an opportunity to reach that final. So it's good. And obviously, as ever, as soon as these courses get live, you get the community saying, it's more sprinter focused or climber focused. Hey, we get that in the Tour de France, right? And the bigger tour stages, it's also going to happen. But again, we've got plenty of opportunity. Maybe the next season or the next round might be a little bit different, suited towards the punchers or the sprinters. So I'm looking forward to it. It's exciting.
Mm. Yeah, should we crack inside of race number one? I've got it open on my screen. Climbers Gambit. Now, I love this course. I mean, don't ask me halfway up Epic Reverse if I love it, because I don't, but I do love it on paper. Now, back to that discussion you were talking about with regard to, people going, it's a climbers heavy season or it's a sprint heavy season. Someone I saw on chat made a really good point. So you look at this one, and initially, yes, it's called Climbers Gambit. People might go, oh, I'm a sprinter, it's not going to be good for me. But look at this course. I mean, you're hitting first into Titans Grove. Now, if you think the Titans Grove climb is for a climber, then you're wrong. In my opinion, it's a, 1 to 1.5, 2 minute climb. That's more of a sort of puncher, roller style of a rider. It's someone who can get up out of the saddle, push high powers for 1 minute. That is not a 20-minute climber. Then after that, you've got, from what I'm kind of seeing there, you will have a sprint segment as well as we're following the mouse around. So you do have a chance to get points for your team. It's only the last, 7 kilometers that it is a pure climbers course. So I do think, even though the name alludes to it being for climbers, I think it's really for everybody.
Yeah, and let's not forget this is a team sport, right? This particular ZRL, it's a team sport, and there's plenty of opportunities, like you say. Actually, this course, I think we did it before anyway. I think 2 seasons ago, if I remember rightly. But it was the course that they designed for one of the academy. That may have been the Zwift Academy 21 or 20 maybe, and that's what it's designed for, to test the sprint, the VO2, and the threshold. So there is something. And for all the teams and all the riders in this particular course, and I think it's an absolutely fantastic event to start. Put the Queen stage right at the start, the ultimate test in terms of the all-round rider. It's a great first course.
JW Bridge Sprint. I mean, right off the bat, you just have something immediately for. I mean, you just show up as the sprinter, and then all you got to do is finish the race, right? And there's no cutoff like in the Tour de France. So
it's going to be a quick start.
I mean, yeah, super quick start. And with people being able to completely burn all their matches right away, if that's their role, think about how crazy that start might be. And you might be able to tactically hold on to those riders at the beginning and maybe try something with that too as well. To just that might be something to watch out for with how quick this start will be. And then head on over to the Titans Grove climb. What I think is interesting is how it actually skips the reverse KOM, and that you use the little cut
Yeah,
off
The little
now.
bypass.
kicker.
Yeah, the little
Kicker, yeah.
bypass there on the left-hand turn on the reverse KOM for Watopia reverse. That's really interesting, I think, as well, to head right on over to the Titans Grove.
Well,
Yeah,
yeah,
I think also,
absolutely. And
yeah, sorry. So I think for team tactics, this is a really, really awesome course because if me personally, I'd be looking at my team and I'd be splitting us into 3 of the sort of punchers and 3 of the pure climbers. And I'd say that would influence the bike choice. I'd be saying the sprinters and the punchers get onto, a really slippery frame and a disc, and you go all in for that first sprint and you go all in for Titans. And then basically you can cruise the rest of the way. The climbers just stick on their wheels and make sure you're with any breaks that your teammates may cause and get a head start going into the climb. So there's massive tactics on offer here too to really pick a team. I think now, as I was saying before the show, I think people, they can start to pick teams purely based on individual rider strengths and make strategies purely for those. So I think this kind of course will really showcase that straight off the bat.
I wanted
yeah,
to highlight
yeah.
a comment in chat. Andrew Benke coming through and says, I know it's a team contest, but a GC would also be really cool. Stay around for the entirety of the broadcast or podcast for more information about individual GCs. But yes, definitely, that is something that is desired, and I think there's other ways to get at that. Sai, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to just picking up on what Anna said there. I think teams now, they've learned. I remember when we first started in that very first season, we basically started with 6 riders, and you were limited to those 6 riders. But I think a lot of the teams now, particularly the teams at the top of those divisions, they've got backup. They've got 10 to 12 riders in a team, and they're rotating those around. So you're right. The teams have got that depth. We've got the depth within Zwift community to be able to do that and rotate them around. I mean, yeah, I remember this course, and interesting what you said. I remember actually getting to the foot of the epic climb, and there weren't many left when we got to that point anyway. And they weren't the riders you expected. It was the punchers, and a lot of those faded. But I think the other thing, and this relates to the other 5 races that we're going to be talking about here, is I've just totally forgot what I was going to say there, but
Too excited, Sai.
You're
I was
excited?
just
Maybe we should talk about the park perimeter. We'll go on to
I was
race number
thinking
2.
about the park perimeter loop already, and then I lost my total track of mind there, so I do apologize. It'll come back to me.
Well, park
So let's look
perimeter,
at
race number 2. Anna, go ahead, take it away.
Yeah, 3 laps. I mean, I always find New York extremely challenging. So when I saw this as race number 2, I thought, is this the one I sit out? I'm not sure. It's always rolling. You've got 3 sprints in there. Just want to do note too, it does say fastest time segments to be announced. So we've got what's the first across line. We will see later the fastest time segments. But yeah, this one, a bit of climbing in there. Just New York, I mean, they used it for that world's course around these kind of streets. It's hard, and you can make it as a team very, very hard. What I think would be great with this course is to start seeing some team lead outs, because this is around New York is almost the only place that I've seen lead outs really work as a team to lead in a sprinter. So this is something as a team I think you could start working on now. Maybe get your team out there and practice, see if you can start to create that. But not too many people, I don't think, will be dropping too hard on this, but it is going to be an extremely hard course by the end of it.
Yeah, that was the laugh of experience of being dropped on this course 2 seasons ago, actually. No, I think actually I survived on this one the last time round. But what I was going to say before, and this course suits it really well as well. I watch a lot of the races before my race in the evening. And the really great thing is that something different happens in almost every race. So in a way, the recons have become, more difficult to do, because it's really difficult to predict, because you've got teams, one of the most innovative teams out there, BL13, do things on the courses and ZRO and other races that we've never seen before. So the teams have come really tuned in to trying different tactics. And, my team with Provision, we've been on the receiving end and on the attacking end of that. So, I think this is one of those courses that also would suit that kind of approach, because these little kickers, these VO2 efforts, and there are many of them 3 times round here, you've really got to think about those team tactics. And I remember watching this 2 seasons ago, and I think I was watching the commentary with yourself and Kate, Anna. And it was just really difficult to predict what was going to happen. And, I know Kate's sometimes a bit critical with some of the suggestions that I make, but it's so unpredictable now with the teams and the tactics because the teams are getting so innovative with the approach.
Now, I know that our team is really excited after watching the Tour de France, both Femme and the men's edition, to start to see if we can do some of those tactics because, commentating these races the last couple of years, you see how things pull out. And one thing I've been practicing over this off season is breakaways. Can you actually break away and stay away? And I think I've come up with the magic sauce to do that. And I've been doing a few workouts to kind of work on that because I've seen some riders in races I've commentated who continually break away. And what I've realized is you can pick a moment, sort of like when you watch in the Tour de France and they're commentating and they say, this is the perfect moment for someone to go. And you can see it's when everyone's spread out across the road. And with the draft, sort of the visual draft dynamic now, you can see when everyone's spread across and you just go. And what I've found is that, a good 30-second to 45-second effort and then steady state, you can stay away for a while and sort of create a bit of panic in the bunch. And on a course like this, where you've got a little sort of maybe 6%er, you kind of get away a little bit. If it spreads out enough, there's not a huge benefit of that pack downhill. I think everyone, if you assume this pack stays together, yep, they'll catch you. But if the pack spreads, then you can get away. Now, this is, of course, I want to try and do a little bit of a breakaway as well. Obviously, it depends a bit on power-ups. If we see the anvil in play in this one again, that creates a different dynamic. But yeah, I wanted to ask Sai as well, looking at this course, bike choice. What do you think?
Yeah, I'd be going for something all round because I have had the displeasure of being dropped. When I first jumped up to A, I was dropped on some of these little kickers. So I think an all rounder to an aero. The other interesting thing about this course is the sprint. And the power up on this particular sprint does play a bit of a role because you've got a little kicker before you descend towards that sprint there. So it's all about timing this sprint. If you get it wrong, we saw it many times within the, many of the A1 races and B1 and C1 races last season, that if you get the timing wrong in terms of your power up or when to go on this particular sprint, you can get caught out. But thankfully, you've got 3 laps if you don't pick it up the first time to make it up. But I think that the team approach, the team tack is possible on this particular course for sure.
That timing on this sprint is just, and it's so dependent on what everyone else is doing too. You have to read the room so well.
Yeah.
Because of the way that this sprint plays out with that downhill after that little bump, it is, and know who you're with. So if you go into this and you don't know the talents of the riders you're with and who to follow and when to go with, and then also if you're reading that room incorrectly and somebody jumps it, I mean, it's so moment to moment because of the nature of this sprint and being able to grab those points. I've seen it time and time again in commentary where somebody has to figure it out the first time through, right? Like they go, oh, that's how it played out. And then they get it a little better the second time. And then the third time you're like, oh, the person who you thought was going to be winning the sprint just didn't have their tactics figured out the first time around. So this is not just a raw power who's going to be the best, show up for that quick little 15-second. It really is going to be also about the timing on this one because of the nature of that little kicker and undulation down.
Yeah, for sure. This is one of the ones I'm really looking forward to watching just for those sprinters because, the sprinters, the big sprinters will absolutely hand on through those kickers that first time. And it will just be about your Zwift craft on this particular sprint and picking up that, and the points are going to be on the sprint, and I guess, I know we've not announced FTS yet, but there isn't anywhere else on this course to pick up the fastest through segment. So I guess if they are going to have one, it is going to be on that same sprint and you've got 3 chances to get it.
Yeah.
That first one's going to be insane. That first one's going to be so crazy. Well, Anna, race number 3, it's the only TTT.
Here we go. It is a TTT. For a while there, I thought there was no TTT until I read through all the comments as I do on the Zwift Racing League Facebook page and saw that there is a TTT. Race number 3. Now, I like that there is only one TTT. Reason being, it's sort of similar to what happened in the Girodonna women's race this year, where there was a team time trial. One team was far above the rest, and they just pretty much won GC on day one. What I like about the TTT just having one is it doesn't change the whole structure of the whole season. If people really, really like TTTing, then they've got the WTRL TTTs on a Thursday/Friday. So this one's good. Great course. I mean, I kind of sit in the camp of it's really exciting to commentate a TTT that goes up crazy climbs. It's not so fun to race them. So this is a nice one. It's not like it's got in the title, Wandering Flats. It's long enough so it kind of you can get into a really good rhythm. You may have a few sort of strategic tactics around dropping riders at certain points. But no, I think really good course here for this time trial.
Yeah, you've got to be careful on this course though, because I raced this course 2 days ago. It is a great course, and it's nice because I get to do another TTT recon that's not in London, which is really fantastic. But there is something you got to watch. You cannot risk dropping riders early on this course because it is flat until you come past that final set of pens and that start finish line for the other courses towards the end of the course, and then you've got to twist up through the village, and you go past that big sort of dinosaur claw at the end. That's it, exactly at that point there.
Yeah.
And if you've only got 4 riders at that point and someone's starting to struggle, there's a risk because it's in the final 6 kilometers there. And there's going to be some spent legs. That is a place just to be cautious on this course. It's a little bit of a sting in the tail before you descend towards that finish line. So just
from a
something to watch out for.
tactical point of view, then, so two things there. One, from what you're speaking to there, early on, if there's anyone who might not be able to make it through that, burn their matches earlier and finish with who you need to that can make that climb well, because it isn't a serious climb, but being at the end of the team time trial, you can probably have some people who think, well, look, my talent here for this team, what I bring to the table is going to be through these flats, raw power, big, just be able to smash it on the pedals. And then, if you got your remaining that need to get across the line through that climb, obviously hang on if you can, but let those other riders then that you're a little bit more confident for making that climb. And then bike choice would be the other thing. Any opinions there, Si?
Slippery.
Yeah?
Sorry,
Yes,
Si.
slippery, flat out aero. Absolutely, Anna.
Yeah, I think I'd be going. I mean, I'm a bit partial now to the Zip Superfly disc because it just looks so great with the Chapter 2 Toa. I know it's a little bit slower, but I mean, it's worth it for that fashion look. But yeah, that's what I'd be going with. Absolute slippery. And I think, that was the point I was making. I think with the tactical drop off of some riders, I would be happy finishing with 4 riders, which I think is it 3 or 4 you need for this one?
Yeah, you need 4, right?
4, I believe
4,
it's
yeah.
4.
So
I believe it's 4, yeah.
Yep.
I'd be happy dropping 2 riders on that climb if 4 of us could just drill that all the way to the end. So I would say everyone stay together till then and then do a tactical drop off at the base.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
I think
absolutely.
at that point, there isn't a lot of distance left. It's not like you're just ditching people early on, right?
Yeah, kilometer 2. See ya. Good luck.
Well, I think you're right though. That's the climb. If anyone's ever going to do that suicide pull, and you've got someone who can do that, and you've got a rider spare, that's the point to do it. And then, like you say, you're pretty much descending then all the way to that finish line. But you will, I think, if you've got some tired legs, you do really need to make sure you've got one additional rider just in case. But this is the advanced TTing techniques where you're not just doing equal pulls all the way through. You've got to think about the weight and the power output of each rider and utilize them on that flat. For sure.
Yeah. Yeah, it's we're getting some interesting sort of opinions coming through to chat as well around someone said, "Oh, I'm not sure I like this, it's too flat." And someone said, "Well, flat doesn't mean easy." That was Dan Pedrosa saying that.
Yeah.
And he's right, because I know from doing triathlons and Ironman, 180 kilometers of flat ain't easy because there's no recovery. There's no spinning out the legs. So you're always going to be on the power. You can recover a bit in the draft, but when you're on the front, that's just straight up, right? I did the TTT last night, which was on the Richmond UCI course. Now, that was hard, but the climbs, you could kind of settle into a rhythm. You're not punching them like a race. And then on the downhill, you got a bit of recovery. So it kind of broke it up. But when you're just staring at, flat racing, that's a lot of power output just to sustain.
Yeah, I think the question there is who you're with, right? Like if I jump into a team that's a little bit over my head, or at the level that, my FTP is around. And I mean, we're averaging, I think I'm maybe 20 watts under my FTP for the duration of an entire average, right? That's just average, raw average. That's not even normalized. And when I'm on the front of a TTT, I'm pulling up like 100 to 150 watts over sometimes what my FTP is at times because of the nature of the short pulls. So, I would suggest, if you haven't done so already, get an experienced DS or get somebody who's got some experience to help your team get the most out of yourself and the rest of all of your riders at every single moment of the race. Because one thing I'm still like, man, do people understand that this is not just a Watts Fest? There is so much tactics and so much precision to TTTing on Zwift, to the point that I'm like, I just need to guess DS like all the time. Like I want to I want to really bring that to its whatever, bring a whiteboard out and just do an Anna Russel on what the TTT is, because there is and I would just push back a little bit to say, I think for those that think that a flat race is not going to make it hard, I'm not sure that the TTT and the team time trial that you're involved in at that point is getting the most out of you that it possibly can.
I just want to step in. I mean, I'm not going to give away the secret sauce, but last season, our team Riot, between the first time trial and the second, we got a minute on our competitors. And that wasn't because of the course. That was because I found one of the best DSs in the community. I worked with them. I found a good strategy, and it worked for us unbelievably. That not only did we set a far faster time we'd ever done, we finished and we're like, that felt easier. So go out there, try and figure it out. I think, Nathan, we will get a guest on who is a DS specialist in the TTT before the season, and get some hot tips from them to help everyone else out there.
That sounds like an amazing idea, actually. 100%. We'll get some live, my hair pulling like frustration moments during team time trials. We can like just show those on the stream. Like, here, look what was happening here. Why is Nathan so mad here? One of these things is not like the other. Like, we'll do some Sesame Street. Like.
Well, Nathan, you've been guest riding for a few TT teams, I noticed recently, and I did the same when I first got on the platform, just to try and pick up that. And you're right, it's all about. I think when they launched Pack Dynamics 3, there was a lot of talk about the courses were going to be slower and stuff, but we've also seen the tactical and the skill level go to another level. So actually, the difference we're seeing in times is absolutely minimal, and I think there's more we can do. There's a lot of great mathematicians and experts out there, that we've got on the platform and in the community, and some great DSs. So I think we could go a lot quicker yet with the right pulls and the right turns and the right planning, for sure.
I love that. Pushing the platform, going for those world records. I absolutely love speed running and world firsts. You're getting me back to my World of Warcraft days. All right, let's go ahead and Champs Ulysses at race number 4, Anna. I always say that wrong. Champs.
Champs-Élysées.
Champs-Élysées. So I just was making fun of myself there. That was totally on purpose, because that's how
there's no
American. Yeah.
Champs-Élysées. Okay, this is a tried and true course. Very. Again, this is one that you look at and you go, flat 7 laps. Okay. There is a lot that I have seen happen in this course, commentating races and also being in them. Huge opportunities for breakaways. It's the mythical course on Zwift where you can do a 3 power-up drop, which is amazing. And it just... there's a lot of dynamics here, but it's up to the racers to do that. So what I did in a race recently is tried to kill the sprinters by, on one of the laps, just doing 1 minute on efforts, 1 minute off, 1 minute on, 1 minute off for the whole lap, just to break some legs. And it did. So this is a call out to the racers out there. You will make this interesting. And I will tell you now, you can. So looking at the course here, you go through that sort of uphill sprint. Now, the 3 power up that I'm talking about is you drop a power up right before the orange start finish. you pick up another one, you use that leading into the sprint, and then you pick up another one. Now, depending on what the power-ups are and depending on the luck of chance, you can really use that to launch kind of a solo breakaway, or work with a teammate to use your power-ups together and launch a sort of two-person breakaway to get a good lead before the downhill. Lots and lots of tactics on offer here.
Yeah, this course is horrible, and I mean that in a good way. It is horrible because in particular in this direction as well. Because obviously, I think it was last season we had the Latisse Express,
Mhm.
which is the other direction, which is still a challenge, but this one is even more challenging because you've got the sprint right at the end of that cobbled drag, all the way up there, and then you've still got to hang on round the loop because everyone pushes on, um, around the Arc de Triomphe there before descending down the other side. So this is tough, and it's a lap longer this time as well than we've ever done before. Because I think last time round in the other direction it was like 42.
Apologies, everybody. I'm gonna get on with my ISP as quickly as possible to figure out what exactly is going on over here. But anyways, Sai, you were saying Champs Elysees, 7 laps. I was gonna just jump in there and say 7 laps of this, and the triple power up that Anna is talking about, I think is also a huge. This direction, I think it's even more crucial because you have a power up into an uphill, rather than a power up, that you're trying to use. I guess you could use the other direction. You could use it into uphill, but then kind of like wait a little while, hit another one, then hit another one into a downhill, where the roll through speed and the way that it tends to work on Zwift is going to not make it quite as effective. But I think you can do that if you get really lucky with the triple power up in this direction. I mean, the breakaway opportunities here are massive. 7 laps, 7 different sprints. There's so much up for grabs when it comes to points and so many different motivations on this course. I think this race number 4 is kind of for me, because I like dynamic racing. I like to really shake things up a little bit, take big risks. Anybody who likes that kind of racing, mark this one on the calendar as kind of a go-to for, all right, this is where it's going to show up and really get that
Yeah.
camera time.
Yeah, for sure. I think visually, if you're into watching your Zwift racing, this is the one to tune in for sure. And yeah, you're absolutely right. Get that timing right through there, because always after that sprint, if a team gets this right, pushing on around, like I say, the Arc de Triomphe there, things could happen for sure.
100%. So, okay, race number 5, Legends and Lava. Anna, what are you thinking here? 1 lap, 24K, only 15.3 miles. This is kind of a shorter one.
This is good. This is actually, I have 2 favorite race courses on Zwift at the moment. This is one, and the other one is Temples and Towers, I think it is, on Makuri Islands. Now, the reason I like this one, again, this was used for the Zwift Academy last year as one of the race courses, or one of the courses to set your sort of power numbers on. I used to do it with my dad, getting back into fitness. We'd do it every week, and he'd try and beat me after I'd had my baby. So it's a great one for testing the legs. Now, I like this for a few reasons. One, last year, what we did is we pretty much straight from the pens hit it hard through those rollers in Titans Grove and just broke the pack straight off the bat within the first 5 minutes. So that's really fun because you're hitting it's sort of like the S's. It's a really hard section to get rhythm, really easy section to break away. So that's awesome. Then you hit into that Titans Grove reverse, which is a great way. Again, a sort of 1 to 2 minute, really full power effort. Put a sting in the legs of some people, break the pack before you get into the sort of downhill that heads over that long bridge. And then you've got the sprint, which is a tricky direction, in my opinion. This one, it's quite long, so it's really hard. I found it really hard to get my timing right on it. And then the volcano climb. This is a really hard climb to get right to take the win. From what I've seen in past years, it's very easy for people to get over enthusiastic and go too hard too early and then sort of die halfway up. And then people who sort of come through, pace the effort really well, stay in the draft. It's very draftable. And then come through at the end for that really steep kick that goes up to about 10% right before the finish line. Tends to be the people who win, who really focus on that last kick, and the rest of it, they conserve energy. So great race course, even though it's short. I mean, I love it. It just makes it quite exciting.
Yeah, for sure. It's a short, punchy course, and I like the subtle brag there, Anna, because of course most people will know, or maybe people don't remember, but this wasn't a proper season course. This was a playoff. So you clearly made the playoffs last time around. This was a playoff course.
Oh yeah,
this
humble
one.
brag.
So, but again, you're right. I think this was basically it's very similar to Climbers Gambit. You've got the sprint, the VO2, and the threshold effort, albeit a shorter threshold test here. But I think that again, this was another one of those academy loops that I think they had for a couple of seasons ago before they brought in Climbers Gambit. So yeah, all round test, something for everyone there. Again, all about team tactics, having the right riders selected for this one, and again. Power-ups could play an important role when it gets to that final climb.
Choice? What are you thinking here?
wondering.
This is an interesting one. I mean, more to your bike. I'm wondering on because sometimes it's like bike choice across the board, but sometimes you pick a bike to what your talent is going to be. I would say race number 1, pick a bike to what your talent is going to be. This race as well, I could see. Look, what is your role on the team? That's the bike.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, we're getting towards the end of the season there as well. So you'll have a good indication at this point of the riders and the teams around you and where their strengths are. So you do need to spend a bit more time in planning where you can pick up points or where you need to pick up points versus your competition at this point as well. Me personally, all rounder, a bit more of a puncher, I'd be going for the one Anna mentioned earlier, which was the Chapter 2 Teo, or the Scott Addict, which are both good all-round bikes. So they can perform on the flat, but they also hold and perform really well on those climbs. But again, I think if you need to pick up points and you've got 3 or 4 good sprinters in there, and if we have a fastest through segments, because again, it depends which segments are going to be chosen for the fastest through segment, because those points for the fastest through add up. So that again will be another decision point to make. But you're a bit deeper into the season. You've got a better understanding of who's around you at that point.
True. I just had a question, Si, around bike choice. How risky do you think it is if you say you've got some climbers and you go full climbing setup and put all eggs in the basket for volcano climb? So you're going that, Millenstein wheel option, the Atheos kind of climbing frame. I mean, how risky do you think it is that you could get dropped, on the sprint? If people sprint really hard, it's quite hard to get up there, or even on some of the downhills of Titans. Worth it because it will pay off at the end, but only if you're with that front group.
I wouldn't would be my advice. And, and again, that is through many tests and bitter experience of being in that situation. I think because you've got Titans here as well, so relatively early in this course, there is a chance if you've got someone on a good all-rounder, something like the Concept bike, and you're on one of...
There we go. Apologies. This is Yep. Not much I can do about the internet at this point, peoples. We can carry on.
Let's plow through. Let's
plow through. Yep. Carry on. Plow through. So you were saying, Si, about the I saw Anna. I'm just gonna make a joke about it. So real quick, like because like I was watching Anna and and all of a sudden she just goes, oh, and I was like, so I was like, oh, my internet must be going again. That's a lot of fun.
I wasn't sure if it was your internet or my comment on the climbing bike, to be honest.
Well, because I have a different opinion. I actually have a little bit.
I'm going to go climbing bike.
Yeah, I'm like, but that's me because I think I can make it, right? So I think regardless of what bike, whatever, I'm going to make it. Like I believe I'm going to make it. So if you believe you can make it, then I would get the climbing bike. If you're like on the edge, like, I don't know, I need every little gram, even just for like, even if it doesn't actually matter timer just for your like mental peace and like what your heart might feel like when that moment's happening. So you can't look at the bike and be like, it's the bike's fault. You know, like you got to get rid of those thoughts.
Another thing, Sai, is if you have a good team around you, we actually did this and it worked really well, is we had a rider on that climbing bike and we knew after every risky point where they could get dropped, our whole team dropped to the back of the group and spread out in a line. And so they had less sort of tarmac to catch up because the team was spread out across almost like a TTT style, 5 across the back, helping like slingshot the rider back into the group. So if you're in a team and you know that you've got that rider who you're focusing on for the climb, you work together and help them out. I think that can work too. Or you sacrifice a rider after that sprint to drag them back up to the group to win the climb. So as a team, you can work on it, right?
So I speak to that because that tactic, I don't think a lot of people have thought about that. Create that dragon tail. You know what I mean? Create that tail. There is so much that can get done with a well-organized team to give people. Think about how many bike lengths it is that you lose a pack with. It's usually 1 or 2. You've got 4, you've got 6 people. Like you could create a really long line there to get people back on terms.
Yeah, absolutely. I hope that the chat is lighting up at this point because it is one of those, fun things to chat about, I guess. And it'd be one of those things that I'll be absolutely tuning into that morning show with Kate and Anna just to see what else is going on in the pens. And again, maybe making decisions on the fly at that point. So again, this is what makes Zwift so exciting, I guess, in the ZRL, that you can make these decisions and sometimes it's going to pay off and sometimes it's not.
Yeah, exactly. Looking at the last race. Now, this is one that is new to ZRL. It's one of those rebel routes that came through and I rode it. It's a long one, first off. So I've only ridden it once because you've got to dedicate a bit of time to it. This, I mean, it's got a bit of rollers in there with the Titans Grove going through twice. I'm intrigued as to how this plays out. I haven't seen it raced before. I've done it as a group ride. I mean, you're starting off with a bit of flat, then you're hitting that Titans rolly part, then more flat, which gives the opportunity for any dropped risers to catch back on or do sort of like Yumbo style TTing, 1-2 punching all along the flat to just break some legs before you then hit another climb. So, I mean, tactics are plenty here. I have no idea how this could play out, but it's going to be super exciting.
Yeah, for sure. And I have to be honest, I've not raced this course. And actually only rode it for the first time this week as well. I actually think we've got Eric to blame at Zwift Insider because I think this is one of his rebel routes, this particular course. So if it is painful, then we know we've got to blame Eric for this one. But yeah, an interesting one. I think a slippery frame for this one, given the fact that we're going to be going through the flats twice, I think, at least on this particular route. So yeah, another interesting one and a long one. So it will be quick because there is so much flat roads, albeit we've got Titans in both directions. And coming back, that's going to be a tough shout as well with so many Ks in the legs. But yeah, a really, really interesting course and could be a long one.
Yeah, Fuego Flats short sprint.
Yeah, that's what I was looking at.
Fuego Flats long sprint. Titans Grove
segment?
and Titans Grove climb forward. So where short sprint times 2? Interesting.
I think the long sprint could be that, not really the sprint, but that long orange segment when you do the whole Fuego Flats from the sort of roundabout back, potentially. I'll have to tune into Cy Bradley's recon of this to know which one that is. But I was intrigued by that too, which is the short sprint, which is the long sprint. Yeah, I know. So I don't know if it's a new segment, but that'll be interesting. I'm not sure on that one. That's a good call.
Yeah, I've got to spend a bit more time with Eric on this one, I think, because I mean, imagine that if that orange section that is that long sprint. I mean, it's not necessarily a sprint there, but if that is a full-time segment, it's going to be like Wednesday Worlds through that segment.
I didn't even. Okay, I get what you guys are saying now. All the way through. I mean, like you go through the little Vegas, you go through that little Vegas section, and then right there, your time trial starts. I've done time trials there, like full gas, 10-minute efforts. I mean, that's going to be crazy if that's where it's
like
through.
A 17K section or something, right?
Yeah.
Maybe 10K section. Imagine that.
that kind of throws a little bit of a wrench into everything of like what's your plan, because that's a
Yeah.
totally different way of racing a sprint section. Like throwing a
Yeah.
TT right into the middle of this section, and then
Yeah.
I mean, I love that. I love that idea. That's a BL13 moment, right, Sai? Like they just go
Yeah,
off
no,
the front.
absolutely. Yeah, I kind of, part of me hopes it is, and part of me hopes it isn't, because that could be a really tough segment.
Yeah,
And,
so
and then
I
you've
mean
still got to get over the growth.
that's a great way to end the season. The only risk I have is I've got to go do kindy pickups or school pickups really tight to the racing. So I've got to race that one pretty quick because that's going to be, I mean, that could take 2 hours for some groups, depending on the bunch sizes and what happens. So that's it's a good round out to the season. I think there's been a lot of good chatter about that there's some longer races, and that one particularly people seemed pretty amped about. So great end to the season there. Hope you guys liked that roundup, bit of a route reveal, deep dive into some of the courses. But obviously, Sai, you'll be doing the very deep dives into each route and each course as we head into the season, which I'd highly recommend. I always look at your notes and look at your ride-alongs to help with the notes for our team racing. But there's a lot on offer there, and I think people should get out and try some different tactics leading up to the season. I would highly recommend working on your 1 minute power for some of the courses there too.
100%. Well, one other thing, we promised we'd talk a little bit about this, maybe more to come in the future. But if you didn't know, on the same theme, going away from Zwift Racing League and each one of the races after we went through all of those, what Zwift is up to when it comes to racing in general, actually, right now. There's a website that a lot of people I didn't know exist until today on actually. Zwift.com/racing is now a landing page that you can go ahead and go to, and you can differentiate between individual racing and team racing there. And so if you go ahead and click through over there, you can actually see what Zwift is up to with individual racing as well as team racing, obviously with WTRL that we just talked about with the ZRL, the Zwift Racing League. So as far as GC and all that kind of things goes, the individual racing that we're now seeing with GC with the classics, well, it looks like that's going to be a monthly thing as we see Get Rolling is coming next month. Anna, I threw this at you in pre-production, but relate this to everything we just talked about. I mean, with Zwift Racing League, and now there's also this Zwift individual racing as something in and of itself.
Yeah, this is great because sometimes there is that time where you just want to go throughout your own tactics, go try your own thing without the risk of letting down your team. And this is a great way to do it. I've been loving the classics actually for just trying out different things. You can also get a bit of camaraderie because if you pick one time, you do it each week, like what you've done with Wednesday Worlds and I race the day before, is that you can just see riders each week that you can sort of go up against and have a bit of fun. I like it. It's a way to challenge yourself outside of the team environment. And some people just, they don't want to race in a team. They do just want to do their own thing, chuck on some music and give this a go. So I really like what they're doing here. I really like they've sort of laid it out and made it pretty clear. And the GC component just adds that little bit of motivation. If you're sort of in the race, you're like, ho hum, I'll just keep rolling around. You're like, actually, no, I've got to set a really good time on this course. So let's get at it. Love it. I'll have to check out this website after. I just saw it before the call and it looks exciting already. So love what's happening here.
12 badges total throughout a year, every month it looks like, to unlock new swag if you compete to unlock them on the monthly. And there will always be a race at similar time slots so that you can kind of weekly always kind of have a specific time slot for you that works for you. Sai, pretty cool what they're up to here.
Yeah, absolutely. I've really enjoyed watching the classics this time. I've yet to ride one, but I'm only avoiding it because I've been watching the Wednesday Worlds. And I did tell you, I was planning on jumping in until a teammate reminded me that which course we were on. So I may make it. But yeah, absolutely fantastic. And I think what we've seen, even on these individual races and with the classics, is there is something there for everyone. But even with the classics, there are things you can do with the team and your riders if you've got them around you. I've seen some punches thrown on that Wednesday World so far, and at some point you may run out of punches and you need a teammate to take the glory at the end. But I think having that overall GC for an individual rider, absolutely fantastic. I love what Zwift are doing here for sure.
Absolutely. Really, real cool. Well, next up, we're going to say goodbye to Sai. Sai, thanks for hanging out with us. Really appreciate the time and taking us through all the courses. And make sure to head on over to Sai's YouTube channel. You can find him super easily over on YouTube. Just search up Sai Bradley. We can throw some links actually in the chats as well. But he's got all the course recons as well as some individual racing. I've seen some of your own live streams actually of racing as well. So if you want to go check that out, you'll be able to find lots of tactics as well as all of the courses or a bunch of courses from past ZRL seasons. So go and check that out. Sai, thanks for jumping in with us.
Cool. Thanks, guys. All the best.
Yeah, cheers, buddy. Well, Anna, the next section that everybody's waiting for, go ahead and take it away.
Yeah, so we're looking at the Neokyo kit for Fashion of the Week. Reason I chose this one is that last week a few people had come into chat saying that this was their favorite, and I totally agree. Also, I know that in a TTT team I was on, we tried to have us all wearing the Neokyo kit last week just because it looks so great. It's sort of it came out as part of the Neokyo New World, and you could go ride it a certain number of rides and you would unlock this kit. Now you can see there from that sort of bird's eye view, it's a digitalized sort of purple, pink, green mashup with the Japanese characters as well, going with the yellow down the back, which is a nice sort of contrast to the colors of the jersey. Links into the yellow on the shorts, which you can see as well from that angle. And the shorts black, which I do like. I like the colored top and the black shorts. So, you sort of look at some of the Tour de France kits that look really fresh, and that would be it. Black shorts, really bright colored kit. I know this is a big fan favorite out there. You ride it in Neokyo through those streets, and it looks amazing. So that's the fashion choice of the week, the Neokyo kit.
It so matches. Neokyo. I mean, it's I think it's definitely a fan favorite too. I like it how you put the Adidas. I'll go with you there. Just like your Zeds, Adidas,
Yes.
Adidas into
Adidas.
there as well. Nice little setup, and I think you did that as well with our bike pick this week as well.
Yeah, bike pick. This was a hark back to a couple of years ago. I did actually want to shout out the series because it was awesome. It was with Anna van der Breggen, actually, who was DSing the SD Works team in the Tour de France Femme avec Zwift, and this was a specialized mixtape challenge. So Specialized released a bunch of mixtape bikes. It was cross, mountain bike, road, and they look so awesome. So it fades from a bright aquamarine blue through to a deep purple at the bottom bracket. And around the bike is a whole lot of sort of black random lines, and these random lines signified the ribbon in an old school mixtape. And alongside this series went a whole bunch of playlists, which I hope Zwift does again. So it was so cool. I know they do podcast rides, but in this one they had the likes of Chantel Vanderbroek Black come up with her playlist and share it, and you listen to it while you were doing the ride. And it was a great way to sort of make the ride really entertaining, and the bike just looks amazing. Yeah, that fade of the blue. At the moment, we're seeing a lot of fade of pink and orange, but this fade of light blue through to a deep purple, in my opinion, looks just spot on. Yes, and paired that with the black Adidas's, the black socks, the black shorts, and then it really tunes into that kit. The bike, which Specialized mixtape. Go and have a look online. I'm not sure if they still sell this or if it was just a limited edition, but you can actually get this in real life. I was really looking at the cross bike for a while. Not that I do any cross racing. I just thought the bike looked amazing. So great bike choice.
I like that idea too, that this is connected directly to the workouts that were done with the mixtape, that like you did this challenge and the suffering and listened to the playlist that this pro had put together, and like it has this kind of cool funky feel to it as well. It has this cool feel of connecting with that which you listen to throughout the the workouts alongside of the podcast. I like it how it connects to those athletes. Really, really cool, and love what's happening here. Nice pickup here. These two together, man. Talk about a good looking setup here. I absolutely love.
Absolutely.
This is
Absolutely.
Nyukio kit plus mixtape. I don't know if it gets much better than this. I'm like super jealous right now, actually, because I don't have I have the Nyokio kit, but I don't got. I gotta find that. You're gonna keep on creating forum posts through this where people are like, "Come on, Zwift, you've got to open up the ability to get these somehow, like special events, because and we want this fashion." Nice job, Anna. That was really well put together.
Yeah, I love those ones. And I think this is, you've got to keep such a good eye on the challenges that are coming up and make sure you get this swag, because I'll be talking about it. The next swag I'll probably be talking about is this off the map purple headband that has come out. Keep tuned for that next week. Hopefully I'll be able to get it myself. And I'm excited to get that one. I love the headbands in game. And previously, you could only get the headband if you're on Zwift running. So get out there and do that challenge if you don't want to miss out on those kits that I'll be talking about. But just want to say there's no tech segment this week because we talked to Sai for a long time, which we wanted to do. But coming up on the shows, if there's interest, I've found a computer genius who can help talk us through the best setups to get the best looking Zwift on your computers leading into race season. It does actually make a difference if you can see really clearly what is going on. You can see people up the road, especially in like dirt segments or areas where it's dark. Having a good computer setup can make a big difference.
Well, Anna, I've seen Premier Division riders on 10 FPS at times, and I'm like, what? How are you even racing? I mean, like, I don't even understand. At that point, it's a Watts fest. Like, at that point, like, you need to be able to know what your Watts are doing with your avatar. Like, I don't know how. So that's one to definitely tune into to make sure you're getting the best bang for your buck, I would think, as well as, like, what do you actually need to Zwift race versus, like, you got these other gamers who are also, doing the gaming / riding your bike thing. So that is a great guest I think we're going to have there, and definitely tune in for that one. Well, what's coming up next? Obviously, what's happening this weekend for you, Anna?
What is happening? Back to some run training tomorrow, heading out into the trails. Got some racing coming up in the real world where I need to be fast at running. But I've got to say, I've been setting, I should stop saying humble brags, it's just bragging. I've been setting QOM run segments all around my neighborhood. And it is because of Zwift. Because I can hurt for 1 to 5 minutes, I can hurt so much more running now, 1 to 5 minutes. So it's crossed over big time. Yeah, it's been amazing. So, I mean, I'm setting my fastest times in a long time because of that. So that's great. I will probably actually head out. I've got a really long podcast to listen to. And I think I might go recon that Eastern 8 course or some of the ZRL courses and just get a good feel for them because I'm really excited. But I've found if you don't recon them yourself and get a feel for the terrain, you're at a bit of a disadvantage. So I'll probably head out and do that this weekend as well.
Right on. Well, I'm going to make up my own tech section for next week and figure out what's going on with the internet at Zwift Community Live headquarters. And then I am going to be racing in Green Bay this weekend, home of the Packers. Have you heard of the Packers? You know what the Packers are at all?
Is that NFL?
NFL. Good. Yes, it's NFL. Okay. Yes, NFL. Actually, Brett Favre is on Zwift. Do you know who Brett Favre is? No?
Oh,
yes, he is a quarterback. Are you joking? I can't tell if you're joking. You're messing.
I'm guessing.
I'm getting trolled right now. I feel like where you're like you actually totally know, but you're like, well, no, okay. Anyways, all right. Well, I'll be heading to the home of Lambeau Field and the Green Bay Packers and Aaron Rodgers, Brett Favre, etc., and racing the Reforestation Ramble in the Wisconsin Off-Road Series, which is a big prep for Or to Shore, and there'll be a lot of people probably showing up for that because it's kind of a flatter race that is going to be a little bit longer, and Or to Shore is a 48-mile point-to-point in UP of Michigan, so a lot of people will probably be prepping at the Wars Race Wisconsin Off-Road Series this weekend at the Reforestation Rambo in Green Bay. So I'm going to go do that. And besides that, it's pretty much just resting and doing openers and stuff like that to get ready for that because it's peak time. So yeah, that's what's happening with me. And then obviously Wednesday
Nice.
Worlds next week. And that's it for episode number 3. This has been absolutely amazing. I've been having so much fun. Thanks everybody for tuning in today, as well as thanks for having patience with us with the internet. But I just want to say thanks to all the viewers and all the feedback and all the listeners. Like things are kind of
absolutely.
exponentially growing really quickly around this, and we absolutely love to connect with you. So make sure you connect with us on the socials. Follow all the spaces, and we're pretty quick to respond and interact with anybody out there in those social media lands to highlight whatever you're up to or whatever you're liking about the show or something you want to see on the show. We love to get that feedback on socials, Anna, don't we?
Oh, absolutely. Send it through. Any cool community stuff you've heard, bubble it up to us so that we can bring it onto the show. That's what it's about, showcasing the community. But I've just seen Sai has come into the watch the show, and he has said, "Whoa, there is a lot of chat." I mean, there's I would say hundreds of comments today. So obviously you guys want to hear a bit more about the ZRL stuff coming up. So yeah, that's awesome too. During the season, we'll probably be doing quite a lot of segments on recapping what's happened in the races and sort of a little preview to what's up next, what teams are doing well, teams of the series, breakout performances, that kind of thing. So be prepared for that. But anything else, yeah, let us know. I'm all ears.
100%. And thanks everybody for tuning in. If you haven't checked it out already, this is going to be audio version. If you want to go and listen back to that or tell your friends about it, download it on pretty much every single podcast platform that there is. The link for that will be in the YouTube video below. And we will see you guys next week for episode number 4. As always, everybody, have a great weekend and ride on.